We did not seek this attention. We did not set out to make anybody look bad. You invited all of this. There's been plenty of good, though, that has taken place. You've galvanized a community. I'm so thankful for the community of Billings. How disappointing it is me to see the comments from out-of-state people. 117,000 people on change.org have signed the petition. If you look at the 2020 census of Billings, it's 117,000 people. Enough for the whole community of Billings has commented saying that this is crazy. I've responded to dozens of these comments saying that this district does not represent the people of Billings. We are not a community of Neanderthals who makes its budget work by denying the most vulnerable group in the community, the very ones who cannot adequately express their experiences and articulate how difficult life is already. Billings is more caring than that. That has been demonstrated nearly unanimously in social media, print, radio, and TV. The district is the outlier in this. The district has expressed its bias by keeping us from making a case to you. This closed loop that was proposed and seconded today in the operations committee meeting. You can't get feedback from outside the bubble that you have allowed to be put around you. All of you are making decisions about our kids in an echo chamber where all of your information comes from carefully crafted messages created by the district. It has made all of you tone deaf to what the community feels and what is important. I requested extra time. The district has exposed this bias. This was demonstrated when during the 2-hour filibuster last Thursday evening, you had your legal expert speak on how you can safely evade the intent of federal and state laws without fear of a civil rights lawsuit, instead of asking what was the right thing to do for kids like Emily. This was also demonstrated when you had the special ed department put together an estimate of costs should the board change the policy allowing kids like Emily to get a senior year. Without respect for anybody's common sense or math skills, they assumed that Emily and every special education student would require a full 1-to-8 ratio, and that each of those kids would require 3 years. That is not the case. It's not even close to the case. Those estimates were way out. Nobody asked that question because of this trusting closed loop. That loop has failed you. Emily, like most kids in her situation, only need 1 more year to get back what they've lost due to circumstances beyond their control. These deliberately false assumptions painted a dire financial picture. This was the district's attempt to scare the community into checking their consciences at the door and turning against these special students. The community saw through your numbers hoax, and it has a conscience. That conscience says, shame on you, Special Education Department and School District 2. After months of stalling us, you dared tell the media that you would like to have had a resolution in place already, except that the Penningtons are withholding information in the IEP. All of you know that the information in her IEP is not relevant to what allowing her to go an extra year. That was shifting the blame to the Penningtons. Shame on you for attempting to push this back on us. After the media firestorm erupted, you reached out through back channels to see if we'd be interested in a deal. Emily gets a senior year, but other students in Emily's situation do not. No. For special needs kids and families, this has become bigger than just the Penningtons and Emily. We've heard from dozens of families who have experienced similar treatment. In behalf of every family with a special needs child, we demand that you change your policy to accommodate all special needs students who require an additional year or 2 to be able to graduate. Regardless of what you do today, Emily, Jana, and myself will be walking hand in hand into Billings West High School late next August. You can stand in our way or allow her to pass. Either way, we will do that. I believe that we'll continue to have the backing of this wonderful community and even the media. Thank you for your time.
And I am glad, Mr. Upham, that you felt that I had no merit to keep me and my daughter Emily on this merry-go-round. I've been doing this since October. I am grateful for the community of Billings once again for their support, because here we are discussing a policy that I'm told could not be discussed, and I was not going to be put on a board agenda. There was a lot of numbers shared on Thursday. And I really want to ask, are those numbers so accurate? Because from my point of view, it sounded like that if we give these kids with special needs, the things that they need from this school district, that it will bankrupt the district. I don't feel that's the case. When I was asking for Emily, she is funded. Mr. Hornby said when I asked, how would she be considered funded? He said she is funded, would be funded as a regular ed student, not a 1-to-8 ratio like Ms. Covington was talking about in a classroom setting. She is in a regular classroom setting. And when I asked for those funds from HB 233 to be accessed on behalf of Emily Pennington, she's a regular ed student who didn't have a lot of the advantages that most of you on the board in this district have. So I ask that you do the right thing on behalf not just of Emily, but all those kids with special needs, like James mentioned, who don't have a voice and rely on advocates like us to advocate for them. Thank you.
I didn't write a speech for you guys. I have had a student in special ed since he was in first grade. He's a junior. It has been a long road. So much so he doesn't want to go to school anymore. So I'm curious to know what your SPED dropout rate is. Our kids, they're failing. They're failing. I don't know, nobody reaches out. We try. When our kids don't want to go to school, we tell the school, we tell the administrators, and we get told it's our problem. It's a home problem. Of course, my kid feels safer at home. I have a junior that has been through this. She has a child, and many other parents. Do you know what scares us? Retaliation. We have it. It goes on in this district. I encourage all of you to look into it. Help us. Help us help the kids. The trauma that it's creating is creating the mental health crisis. All the behavior students, it isn't because of our teachers, it's the lack of training. They don't have it, they need it. We encourage you guys to reach across and help us as parents, as a school board, and as administrators. We want to have the conversations with you. We don't know how to do that. If this wouldn't have happened with Emily, it would have never happened.
Hi, I'm Jamie Beekler. Sorry. I didn't plan on talking today. I actually had my IEP meeting this morning and two prior to that, and now we put it to table until the next one because we weren't done. Finally, I feel like because of the Penningtons, we're kind of getting somewhere. But I have such a problem, and I'm so filled with emotion, because when HB 233 passed last July, I was like, holy crap, this could change it for so many. I have 2 kids with IEPs in the district. This could change, but I had no idea that no one had the conversation at all until this whole thing with Emily showed up. I've had many conversations with certain board members, and I've even talked to Greg at the gym in regards to the fact that I don't know how long I have my son on earth, and I will be damned if I have to fight for every basic need that he should get in the district. There's 2 OTs, there's 1 PT, there's 1 PTA for what, 2,400 students? Is that the number that they said? How on earth are they getting their needs met? It's so confusing to me. And I don't expect you guys to understand. I don't know if you have special needs kids, I'm thinking no. But we live this day in and day out. And we send our kids to you, the teachers, which I think are doing a phenomenal job for the most part, but they don't have the training like Brittany says. But our kids are with you, with the staff all day long, and we entrust in them. And then we sit in front of a board that I feel like doesn't care, doesn't even hear the needs, because exactly what the Penningtons have gone through. So what am I supposed to think for my kids? And they're just in 6th grade. This is going to affect so many.